So yesterday we have seen constructors and methods. So what is a constructor? A constructor is a function. A constructor is a function, so which will be the same name as the class name. So you can also have multiple constructor functions in the class. So you can have one constructor with one parameter and one constructor with different parameters. So we have seen that. And also we have seen the functions, so with one parameter, couple of parameters, and a lot of other things. Any questions in this? Raja, any questions in this?
No, I'm okay, Bharat.
Yeah, I'll just upload the videos, guys. I have not done that. I'll tomorrow I'll upload the video. I mean today night I'll upload the videos. Tomorrow you can see it. And let's go and create one more project, and we'll see some other things. Okay. So file, new. So we create a Java project. So we create we today we'll see static. What is static keyword? And some final keywords, whatever there are a lot of keywords that are pending. So that is static keyword. So let's see static. What is static? So I can say non-access modifiers. So I'm creating a new class. So before that you can create a package, or you cannot. If you don't create a package, it will come to default package, but better to create a package. So I'm just creating a package com.test.static. So I can say test static. Okay, we created a package. So as I said before also, the package names should all be in the small letters. So, and then I'm creating a new class. So the class name, I'm just stating it as having static methods. Okay, so having static methods. So what is static? Static means, so if you see here, we write we generally have how do we write a class? So let's take a normal class. Okay, new class. So this is a normal class. So when we have a normal class, right, and when we write a function here, we say public void do something. Do something is any function, whether it can add, either it can multiply, or whatever it is. Do something is a function. So and then we have sys out, and then we are doing some action in that, like say do something. Correct. So now if this is a class, now if you want to call this class is a design, as I said. So if you want to call this class, we have to create, either you have to create a main method here, which is static main method. We generally create static main methods, right? Or you have to create another. Generally what we do, we generally create another class which is called main class. So where we have the main method. So we have a main method, main and control space. We have that main method. So in the main method, we will create an instance of the class. Instance of the class is copy of the class. So that is normal class. So n1 is equal to new normal class. So that's how we create an instance. It is called instance variable, and control V. One minute, control C, command C, command V. So this is called instance variable, and then this is the variable, and we create classes like this. Normally a normal class n1 equal to new normal class. And then how do you call function? N1 dot So do something, we will call the function like this. Or if you want to call the variable n1 dot a1 equal to something, so n1 dot so this is how generally we call normal methods. So this is a class and we call the method using this. If there is a static method, so if there is a static method, we have to write public, so void static, sorry, public static void add. So this is the function name. So public static void add. So when I say add, we can add two numbers, right? So here we are telling, we're just telling sys out, this function can add two numbers. So that's the implementation of the function. We can write any logic here. So, but when I write a static method, you don't need to create an object, because whenever we are seeing here, right, normal class, we are creating an object. For a static method, you don't need to create an object. We can say having static class methods, whatever it is. So this class has static methods, right? So whenever there is a static method, you can just directly call it. How do we call it? So we can call the class name. So the class name, whatever the class name it is, and then dot, so you can say add method. So whenever there is a static method, you don't need to create an object. Normal class n1 is equal to new normal class, or n1 dot do something. So you don't need to do this. So you can just call the class name dot add name. So can I have a combination of static methods and non-static methods? Yes, you can have. Even in the normal class, I can have a static method. So I can just copy this and do that. See here. So even in the other classes also, in the classes, we can have two types of methods. One is static methods and one is non-static methods. So now if you see this class, now I have one static method which is static, and I have one non-static method which is doesn't have a keyword called static. Now even if you go to the main class, here also, if I want to call static methods, then I have to just say normal class dot, and then I can say add. So first rule for static, we don't need to create an object. Means static doesn't need an object. Static doesn't belongs to an object at all. So even the class, in the design we make number of copies, right? Some of the thing we cannot copy so into multiple instances. Those things are called static. So why do they don't have to have a static is because, for example, right, if you're using an Excel sheet, some of the things cannot be copied into multiple objects. They should be unique. They should be like singleton. I mean, like it's not singleton. They should be accessed from one point and exited at that, and then someone has to follow it. Like say, if someone is reading an Excel, so if someone is reading an Excel and it is open, he is doing some edit and etc etc, and he's reading an Excel and he is editing it. I mean, instead of reading, I can say if someone is editing an Excel, okay, and then if someone tries to edit, like if some other person tries to edit, so what happens? It will say, okay, someone is already using it, you cannot go and access it. So we'll get that exception, right? Someone is already using it, you cannot go and edit it. Why do we get that exception? Because that single instance of Excel can be used by only one person. It cannot be used by multiple copies, correct? It can be used by only one person at a time. At a time, one person can use it. So but if you want to use multiple parallel connections, you cannot do it, because multiple persons cannot add one single Excel file. You cannot do it. You cannot have one single Excel which can be edited by some 10 people. At one point, one can only do it. So that's why sometimes in the object oriented programming, not everything we can include into an object, because whenever we create an object, it is making a copy, and if you try to access from all these copies, so what happens is it will try to go into a deadlock state, means everyone will try to access and no one will get it. So in such cases there should be something called static that we have to use. So that's why we use a keyword called static. So a static is something which does not belongs to an object, means when you make multiple copies of the class, that doesn't come to that that doesn't belongs to all the copies. It only belongs to a class. It is like it's kind of static, means it is not dynamic. You cannot add multiple things there. So it is kind of one sticked point, and you can use only by using a name of the class and using the name of the function. So when you see here, I'm using the name of the class. So see here, I'm using directly, I'm not creating any object. First of all, so I am just calling using name of the class and name of the function. That's it. So we don't need to do anything. So but everywhere, and one more thing is this function, because we are calling with the class and the name of the function. So this is only one function, means it is not getting copied over, means it doesn't have like object, it doesn't have, each set is not unique. So this is only one copy. At any point of time it is only one action, and you can either go and read it and come back. So static doesn't have any copies, so it is only one. It's like a global function. So that global function, you can use it only from the global only one time. If someone is using it, you cannot use it. So such kind of things, if you want to implement something in Java, then you can use something called static. So as a static is a keyword which doesn't belongs to an object. Object means whenever we are making an object, we can make multiple copies of the classes. So but if you are using something called keyword static, then we cannot make that function will not be present in multiple copies. Means whenever you make an object, that function will not be present. So the function can only be called, these static functions can only be called by using the name of the class and then the name of the method. So now if we completely go and understand, right, your main method is also static, because see, if your main method, so public is, so if you understand closely the main method in Java, if you start understanding the main method in Java, so see, public means everyone can see it. So if you don't see the main method, how can you run the program? You cannot run the program at all. So you cannot make a main method as private, because so if you make a main method as private and no one can see it, how can people run the program? So they cannot run it. So that's why the main method should be public. Main method should be public. So the main method is static because you cannot start with 100 from 100 instances. You cannot start a program. So you can only start from one single point. You cannot start from 10 different points, right? So that's why we cannot use object for a main method, because so whenever you're starting a program, you need one starting point. You cannot have 10 starting points for a program. So because you'll get confused where you are starting. So that's why we are using a keyword called static. So because why are we using keyword static for main method? Because you cannot start from, so whenever you want to start, you want one button, right? You cannot have 10 buttons to start it. 10 buttons you cannot press simultaneously. So in the similar fashion, so we are having static because so we can only have one single point where we can access it. So that's why we have keyword static where we can start it. Okay. So and void is because main is the starting point, right? We don't return from that function anything because that's the starting point of the function. So what does it return? It doesn't return anything because there you are clicking on a button, you're not expecting anything back there. So that's why it is void. And string of args is like an array. We will discuss that today. it's an array of values that you can input from output. Whenever you are running the program, you can input some lot of strings. So that's why you have string of args. So that we will see today. So but that's why public means everyone can access. Static means it's only one single connection, so means you can start from one point. That's why it is static. Void means you cannot give back anything from the main method because it's the starting point. You cannot give back anything. Main is the name of the function. String of args is nothing but an array of strings that it can take to give the inputs to the program. So that's why it is called public static void main string of args. So a static function, the main function is static. Anything if you want to make a single or single process oriented stuff, then you have to use a word keyword static. So that function is not part of the object, it is only part of the class. Means that class, whatever you are doing, it's only part of the class. If you want to call that one, you have to call it by using the name of the class dot name of the function. Any questions, guys? Raja?
No, Bharat, I'm good.
Kavita? Any questions?
No.
Okay, guys. Yeah, I mean, I know these things are very new. Using object-oriented concepts, static keywords, and stuff. You have to read more. You have to read more. I mean, I'm telling you, it's not so easy. So, I mean, first time if you start understanding and visualizing the programming language, right, Java, you can do anything. So please start reading and writing some code, understanding the code, reading as much as possible because it takes time to. If you there are three functions in a file, and if you say you call these three functions, it is done like VB scripting. It's very easy, but because we are going through some structured programming which is like Java, so it takes a little bit of time, not very complex, it's a little bit of time to understand. Once you understand, right, this is the easiest thing that you can ever see. So you have to understand, you have to visualize the programming. So but that comes only when you start writing the code and when you start practicing the code. You have to do it. Okay, please do that. So the next one we will see is arrays. So what is an array? So an array, right? So here we are seeing in the main class we have seen string of args. This is an array. I'm saying this is an array. So what is an array? So let's go and understand what is an array. So generally public void string, public void list of names. So I'm just understanding concept. I've created a class called array to understand what is going with array. And for that class I've created a method called list of names. And one more thing you need to be very careful in Java. If you create a class and write the logic here under the class, you cannot write logic here. So you can at a class level you can only declare variables. Means like string is equal to some string s equal to some 2 or semicolon, so something like that. So string, so you can only declare variables, objects, so all these things you can just do it. Okay, so you cannot write some logic. Means you cannot say a plus b, a equal to a plus b, or some s is equal to s plus s. So you cannot write some logic because it's almost you cannot, so you're trying to write some logic which is irrelevant here. So you cannot write logics at a class level. If you want to write logic, you have to create a method. Method is nothing but function. Okay, if you want to write any logic, pretty much like if you want to add two numbers or add two strings, or if you want to calculate all the, if you want to calculate prices of 10 items, or if you wanted to do some logical programming, or if anything in Java, you have to create a method. So until or unless you create a method, you cannot write any language. A class, so the structure is under a class you can have two things, right? One is state and behavior. States are defined by variables, and the behavior is defined by, the methods. So that is in the general object oriented programming. But here, so if you see, the methods means the logical part. The logical part you can only write in functions. The static part, like the declaration and everything, you can do it in variables. So please make sure that you understand that and you use it. Okay, so when I say list of names, right, I can create a list here. So that is nothing but array. So string array names is equal to open bracket close bracket John, Ram, and Rajiv. Okay, so now you have three names. String s is equal to string s, instead of string s I say string name is equal to Ram. So whenever we have a regular data type, when I say data type, right, so string is a data type, integer is a data type, boolean is a data type. So these are all data types. So whenever we have a regular data types, what we are using, we are saying string name is equal to Ram. So name contains, name is the reference for the memory location. So the name is nothing but, here the name is a variable name. You can give any name, name 1, name 2, whatever it is, right? You can give test 1, test 2. So any name you can give. This is just a reference. So string is type of memory that is located, that is allocated. So string is the type of, so how much of memory that has to be allocated. So how much you have to allocate the memory, it is defined by a keyword called string. So it allocates some memory. So then what is RAM here? Under the reference of name, RAM is stored. Means indirectly the name is nothing but RAM. The value RAM is stored. So whenever you call RAM, means it is returning a value. Whenever you call name, it is returning a value called RAM. So that's what it is stored, right? So these are all data types. String is a data type. So the data type is telling that how much memory you have to allocate. The name is telling that, okay, whatever the memory that you have allocating, the name of it is name, and the value that is present in it is RAM. Whenever you call name, you will get RAM. So that's how you have data types. If you come to arrays, right? So when you come to arrays, so it is now name has only one value, RAM, right? In an array, you will have multiple values. So multiple values, array holds multiple strings or multiple integers. Means you can store, you can in an array you can have 10 integers, 20 integers, 30 integers. So you can have any integers, n number of integers you can store. So and you can have anything. So pretty much array can hold multiple strings and multiple integers. That's how, if you see here, names is a variable. So a variable, so here the name is one variable storing one value, but here names is a variable storing three values. So there are three values that are stored. So what are the three values? John is one value, Ram is one value, and Rajiv is one value. They are stored. How are they stored? So first of all, it will allocate three memory locations under one name. Under one name. So what is that one name? Names. Names. We have given the names, right? John, Ram. So it has allocated three memory locations, and it will give you under the names of 0th location. So it has allocated three locations, right? Under the names of 0th location, it will store John. Under the location of 1, right? It will store Ram. Under the location of 2, it will store Rajiv. So now, although it is just names and it has three values, so there is internally the structure that Java creates is it will create three locations for the names. So here it's only one location. You don't have anything correct, right? It's only one variable, one location. You don't have anything. So whenever you are doing here, so here what happens is it is just trying to get, okay, now you have allocated an array for me. Array means set of values. The set of values starts from 0, 1, 2 locations. Now I have allocated three locations. In the first location I have stored John. In the second location, that is nothing but 1, because it's starting from 0, right? So in the first location is nothing but 0. So it has 0th location where John, first location where it is Ram, second location where it is Rajiv. So now if you see, if you want to read it, right, see here, so you can say sys out. So when I say names of 1, what should we get? We should get Ram, because directly within the third location we are only calling the value that is present in the second location. It will give you directly the second location value. So let's go and call it. Okay, new I'm just creating one more class, calling arrays. Okay, it's just a class creation, so I'm just naming it. So here we'll go, we need to, for execution of the program, we need main method, which is a static one as discussed before. So here to call this class, we need to create an object because we don't have any static methods there, right? Array a1 is equal to new array. So a1 dot, so we're calling, not the name and names are variables, list of names is the function, is the method. So that one we are calling, and I'm doing a right click and run as, and then Java application, and it is asking me to save everything. If you see, you are getting only Ram. Why? Because in the second location, when I say names of 1, in the second location we have only Ram. So that we are getting it. Now if I say location 2, so it will go, and if you just go and run it, right, it will give directly Rajiv. So if I give 3, what happens? So now you have only three values. It has only allocated three memory locations. Now there is no fourth location at all. Then Java will throw an error that I don't have any value like that. If you see here, Java is telling that I don't have any value, and it will throw an exception. So we'll see exception handling in the later phases, but it is throwing an exception because Java, it doesn't even understood that, okay, you have only assigned three locations, that is 0, 1, 2, and now you're asking me for the third location which is not present in my memory. So that's why it is giving array index out of bound exception. Means it is telling that I don't have that kind of a memory. That's why I'm throwing you an exception error. So that exception, we got it. So this is one way of declaring the array. So there is a lot of meaning to this line. So this line means you have a variable which can store set of strings, means multiple strings. So and then how many strings it can store? The length of this thing is, it can store 1, it can store 2, and it can store 3. You are also defining the length, means you are telling how many strings you have to store. You are telling it can only store 3. So for an array, it is important to give how many you can store. Means how many you can store means you should also provide the length of the array. So it's not dynamic, means you cannot tell that one time you can store 5 or one. Whenever you're declaring, if you said it is 3, it will be 3. You can resize it if you want, but whenever you said only 3, it will be only 3 locations. There is no fourth location at all. It is not dynamic, it cannot change, and it can only store one type of values. When I say one type of values, means it can either store only strings, or either it can only store integers. It cannot store combination of integers and strings. There is no nothing called int string array. So there is no way that you can create like int string array. It can only take either a string array, or either it can be taken int array. So like that, but it cannot be int string array. So there is an other way of declaring an array. So the other way of declaring an array is, so you can also say it like this: string array names other. So I'm just giving a name as names other is equal to new, because string is an object. String array is an object in Java, means there is a class already present in Java libraries. So this class we have not created it. So where is this class present? We said, right, when I started the class, I said Java has a library which some of the classes are already written by someone who has written the Java. So he has written, they have written hundreds of classes already. So those classes we can reutilize it. So one of the class that he has written is string array, so that now we are using it. So now string array is equal to new string array of 3. Okay, now we said string array name other is equal to new string array of 3, means, so it is telling that now I have a name other as a name. So it now created memory location, and in the memory it created a memory location. And what is the size of the memory location? It is 3 locations, because you have specified the length, right? So you have given the length here, so that is 3 locations. But do you have values now? No. So you don't have values now, because you just said string name other equal to new. This is other way, guys. So you can also do like this or like this. So if you do like this, that is a straightforward one. You can also do like this. This is other way of implementing an array. Java has provided multiple ways, because to get conveniented for different people as why like this or something. I mean, they have made easier. So that's why some of the things, we have. This is a easier way. This is some process oriented way. Like, I mean, this is another way of doing it. So string array of name other equal to new string array of 3. So if you want to add, right, you have to say names other of 0 location will contain some test, and then you can follow the same thing. So names array of 1 will have test 1, and names array of 2 will have test 2. So test 1 and test 2. So you'll have 0 in 1 2. So now if you say sys out, same thing. So there is no different. This is an alternative way. That's it. So this is an alternative way. Sys out, if I say names other of 2, so you will get it test 1 now. So let's go and test it. So that is because we have given 3 here, it is giving an error. So let's make it 2, run it and click on OK. So now if you see, first one is giving Rajiv because names is giving Rajiv. So that's another location, because that we have given Rajiv. For the second one, that is names other, which we have done like one statement, and 3 statements, right? Totally 4 statements. For that we are getting test1. So instead of these 4 statements, means like one statement here and 3 statements here, they have made this one single line. So instead of doing all these things, they wanted to make an easier way. That easier way is this one. So this is called one dimensional array. One dimensional array means single dimension, means it's a line. It's a line of values 1, 2, 3. There is something called two dimensional array. So which we do it in other class. So that is two dimension array. And one more thing, guys. So let's give one more thing. If you want to now read all the names, okay, now if you want to read all the names, okay, so instead of now it has a pattern, right? It has 0, 1, 2, 3. It has an index 0, 1, 2, 3. If you want to read all the names, we can also write a for loop. So I can say for int I is equal to 0. How do we know 0? The array starts from 0, right? Here if you see, I have 3 values and then it starts from 0, 1, 2, 3. So I starts from 0. I less than or equal to, so the name other is the name of it, dot size, whatever the size is. So here it is length. So the length and then I plus plus. Okay. So you're incrementing. And then if I just do sys out and then print names other of I, so and then run, right? It will just now let's go and call this function now, calling arrays. So a1 dot read all names, means you are trying to read all the names. So if I just go and run now and click on OK button, so it is seeing now, see now it is giving test1 and test2. So let's go and comment this function and then run it again. Click on OK. So now you're seeing null because the assignment is happening here. So if you see here, the assignment is happening in this function. When we commented running this function, it doesn't have any value. It is just assigning it, but the assignment doesn't happen here. So if I just move it into other function, it will run it. But because we have not executed this function, what happened? If I just go and run this, right? So it is showing null because you have created a memory location. The name of the memory location is name other, but the assignment did not happen because the assignment was done in this line which you have commented it. So that's why it is giving null, means there are 3 locations, but that locations have nothing. There is no value because the assignment that you have done, which you have done in the other function, is not executed anymore. So the assignment did not happen, means the values are not stored in the memory. So that's why it is giving null. So but if you just comment here instead of there, these 2 lines, and then if I go to the if I just go to the calling function and uncomment this one, so and then run and then click on OK. Now if you see test1 and test2, because in the list of names the assignment happened, in the read all names it read all the names, and in the using a for loop and started printing it. So if you see here calling array, so this is the array, and then that's how you have to call the array. This is all about one dimensional array. So one dimension means linear fashion. One dimensional array are like this. So having, so in a single in a linear fashion, 1, 2, 3. So this is a linear fashion. So this is how one dimensional array. So 1, 2, 3. So the locations are like your like your any CD shelf or anything which has stacking up, right? So that's how one dimensional array is. But there is something called two dimensional array. So a two-dimensional array, so if I go to array, right, it's only a single dimension. I'll just can copy this one because I can just use that. So a two-dimensional array is another dimension. So that is again, so this is a two-dimensional array. So how does a two-dimensional array look like? So if you see any Excel sheet, right? Excel sheet is a two-dimensional array. So how Excel sheet will look like? So you will have rows and columns, right? So you will have rows, you will have columns. So how does it represent now? It will represent like this. So in an Excel sheet, if you write this, John, and in the this is a row. This is row one. I mean, this is column one. This is comma column two, and then column three, and you will have here row one, and then here you will have row two. So here this is an Excel sheet. Let's think like all the rows and the columns. This is the Excel sheet. So the representation will be like this. Here it will store John. Here it will store Ram. Here then it will store here Rajiv. So that's how we can visualize this two-dimensional array. So the same similar fashion here it will store John again because you are giving same names. So if you have given here test and here test one and here test two, so then it can show test here, test one here, and test two here. So like that, and this is a two-dimensional representation. It's a two-dimensional representation. You have columns, you have rows. So a row is this one. The bracket to bracket is a row because it's a single dimension. So this is another dimension. This is second dimension. So because I mean like this is another row. So because this is one row you have stored in one set. This is another row you have stored in another set, and each one comes onto one column. So that's how you can use the two-dimensional arrays. So the other way of declaring two-dimensional array is you can also do like this: string array names is equal to new string, 3 comma, or you can say 3 comma 3, means the length of the string is 3. So string two dimension. So if you see names two dimension, new string 3 comma 3, what you're telling, it can have 3 rows and 3 columns, means it can store 9 values, means it can have another row also. So you can store another 3 values. So whatever the values that you wanted to store, you can store. So how can we add numbers? So here we have to write a logic. So we have to create a function public void write to 2 dimension. So if you want to write to 2 dimension, right, you can say names 2 dimension of position 0, which is the column 0, position row 0, and the column 0 is equal to, you can say, test 0 0. So that's how you can start writing it. So names, same thing, 2 dimension. So you can say the row is 0 and the column is 1, so is equal to test 0 1. So you can say names 2 dimension, so whatever the value that we have, and then if I say 0 and then if I say 2, so you can say test 0 2. So now this is the first row, right? So you can also have second row. So if I leave something, it will be empty. So 0, so you can say first row now. So you went from the 0th row to first row now. Means the first row is done, second row you came. Because the array starts from 0, you count 0 as the first row, okay? So we came to the first row. Again, you have 1 0, 1 1, 1 2, 2 0, 2 1, 2 2. So that's how we represent a two-dimensional array. So you can see two-dimensional arrays in anywhere. You can see normal table data. So if you see any tables, right, whenever you search in the internet, all the table data like employer details, all those things, they are all two-dimensional arrays. So your database, right, whenever you say database, the data that is stored in the database, that is two-dimensional. So the database is stored in two-dimensional arrays. How do you read from the two-dimensional array? So read from two dimension. How can you read it? You can say sys out. So if you just read now this value 0 comma 0 means it should give test 0 0. If you read 1 comma 0, then it will give you test 1 0 like this. So if you want to read this location, you can read. If you want to read this location, you can read. If you want to read this location, we can read. If you want to read this location, you can read. How you have to just change the values 1 0 0 1 0 2 0 3 0 4 etc etc. So you if you, now here you have 9 locations, right? So you can add 9 locations. You can also read 9 locations. So that is 1 0 1 1. So here 1 2. So here it is 2 0 2 1, and then here it is 2 2. So that is 9 locations. So because it's a 3 into 3, right? 3 into 3 is 9 locations in an Excel sheet. So you can give here 2 2. Here you can give 2 1. Here you can give 2 0. Here you can give 1 2, and here it is 1 1. So this is how your 9 locations you have added. So you have the Excel sheet, the whole Excel sheet where you have added the data. From that Excel sheet, you want only what is that is present in 2 1. You can just read it by giving 2 1. Now if I say 2 1, I'll get the value. What is the value that is that there? It is to test 21. That I'll get it. So if I want to get 1 1, if I just give 1 1 here, I'll get value test 1 1. So if I want to get some other value like test 0 0 or 0 2, I'll get that value. Let's go and see that calling arrays. So here I have to create an object because we have created a separate class for it. So two-dimensional array tr is equal to new two-dimensional array. Sorry, that's wrong. Two-dimensional array. So semicolon. Every statement in Java. So then tr dot. If I say call read from two-dimensional array, before that we have to write also, right? So what are the two functions that are present? One is write to two dimension. One is read from two dimension. So let's go and call those two functions, because first once you have to write first, then only you can read. If I don't write and then read, I'll get null values. tr dot read. So now if I go and I'll just comment these lines. So now if I go and run, and if I click on OK, see here I'm getting test 21 because I am reading the location here with test 21. So I'm getting 21 here. Okay. So when if I now change it to 2 instead of like that, right? I can change it to 0 1. So 0 1 is test 0 1. So I should get test 0 1. Now let's go and run. Click on OK. So I'm getting test 0 1. The value that is stored in 0th location, I mean that column, that row, I'm getting specifically. So now if I go to one dimensional array, right, I've used for loop to read all the values. Means instead of reading one by one, if I want to read now, right, I have to read all the values, then I have to print 9 statements here. Instead of that, in the single dimension, what did I do? I've used a for loop. So now what I want you guys to do is use a for loop. So it will be nested for loop. Means for under a for loop, you will have one more for loop. Okay, so that's how you have to read it. So it's little complex, but if you just go and understand, it's very easy. So you have to do some practice. Use a for loop and read all the values for the 2 dimension. Means you have to create a 2 dimensional array. So create a 2 dimensional array. So that you have to do it like either this way or this way. So this is simple way, because all these 10 statements, right, is written into one statement here. So you can either do this way or this way. Create a 2 dimensional array, and then add the values. Add the values means if you do it like this, it's automatically done. If you are doing like this, then you have to add the values. Add the values, and then once you are done that, read the values using a for loop. So this is your assignment. Okay, any questions, guys? Kavita?
No.
So you understood our questions or no? I cannot really hear. You're good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Raja?
I'm okay, Bharat.
Shailaja?
So far I understood, but I have to go through one more time so that I can ask you some questions.
Okay, Shailaja. Yeah, I mean, you have to do practice. So please, guys,
Yeah.
you have to do practice. You have to read. There is no other go for it. Don't